Hello everyone and welcome. So happy you could join us here today. I hope you're enjoying the Extend conference and all this great content that Geotab and our partners have lined up for you. So today's session is all about video telematics, and specifically what questions should we be asking ourselves to help understand which video telematics solution is the best fit for your organization. My name is Andrew Ryback. I'm part of the Geotab Marketplace team. And I'm the BDM focusing on camera, ADAS, and driver risk management solutions. I'm a fairly new face to the Geotab organization, having joined just late last year, but I've been in fleet and safety for quite some time, and as such, I certainly understand the benefits of coupling video and telematics, and think we've got a great session in store for you here today. I'm really pleased to be sharing this virtual space with John Ballantyne. John is our VP of Video Products, and he brings with him a wealth of experience, having worked at Verify and at Lytx as CTO, and so someone who really understands video telematics. I could think of no better person to guide us through some of these questions than John, and I'll be passing it over to him in just a second. But before I do, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. And so I should probably take a minute or so to explain what it is that we mean by video telematics. So we're talking about cloud-connected, vehicle-mounted cameras. Could be road-facing, driver-facing, maybe both, perhaps even multiple cameras all connected to give a true 360-degree view of the vehicle. Furthermore, that video that we are capturing is then augmented with location and motion data. And then the video is cloud connected and can be transferred wirelessly to a remote server, so that is actionable and available to us for review down the road. So when we think about use cases for video telematics, it's things like capturing video for accidents and capturing dangerous driving behavior, doing accident reconstruction and having a workflow around first notice of loss, monitoring drivers for their safety, monitoring the safety of our cargo, ensuring compliance, coaching drivers. There's a whole host of use cases that are available through video telematics. And as you can see, Geotab has a lot of partners in our marketplace around this space, and that is very much by design. On this slide, you will see a list of our current partners, and each of these has been carefully selected and also vetted for their technical integration with MyGeotab. Now, the reason we have so many partners as opposed to having one singular camera solution is that we recognize there are so many different use cases for cameras, and each of our customers has unique needs that a one-size-fits-all approach simply wouldn't work. So that's why we give the power of choice to our customers by letting them select from one of the best of class video telematics partners you see listed here. Now, of course, the challenge of having so much choice is deciding which video telematics solution is the right one for you. And that's very much what we aim to discuss here today, because when our customers come to us and say, what is the best solution for video telematics, first we typically want to know about their priorities, their pain points, and their unique requirements. So we end up asking questions like, what problem are you trying to solve? Who's going to use the data? What internal systems are also going to be using that data? And very importantly, how are we going to measure the success of an investment in cameras and video telematics? So to delve deeper into these questions, I'm now going to pass it over to John, and over to you, John.
Thank you, Andrew. So the first question, what problem are we trying to solve? Okay, so I know that sounds like a pretty obvious question. What problem are we trying to solve? But unfortunately, the answers to that question are often not very precise. So I urge you to really think about it, to sit down with your management team and ask yourself, what problem are we trying to solve with video telematics? So I'm going to show you in a few minutes a technique that can help you to be more precise about the answer to that question. But before we get into that, I'd just like to talk about 3 common use cases that we see for video telematics. So I've listed them here. We'll call them driver risk management, or sometimes called DRM, first notification of loss, or FNOL, and security recording. Now we make these distinctions because it turns out that depending on what is important to you, the system that you choose will have characteristics that are best matched to that, but maybe not to one of the other categories. And so it's really important to see what it is that you're trying to do so that you won't end up with a system that does more or less than you need it to. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at some of the defining characteristics of a driver risk management system. Typically, it will have 2 cameras in one housing. So there's a lens that points out at the road, and there's another lens that points in at the driver. So it's obviously an important thing in a driver risk management system to be able to observe driver behavior. That's part of what it does. And so to think that I would be able to do driver risk management with only 1 camera facing the road, you're probably not really understanding the problem that you're trying to solve. Whereas if what you're interested in doing is capturing a crash event and looking at what it was that happened on the road, but not necessarily worrying so much about what the driver was doing, you just want to get the facts of the accident because you need to report it for insurance purposes. That's a first notification of loss. Maybe you could get away with just the road view camera. If you're looking at recording all types of incidents, maybe things besides crashes or road incidents, maybe you're looking at vandalism and theft and behavior of passengers on vehicles, etc., then you may want more cameras, and they may have to be placed in locations that would prevent them from being housed in a single assembly, like a dash cam. So you really need to understand what your application is, why you're doing it, because the system that you buy will be different depending on that answer to what problem am I trying to solve. So here's the solution statement. This is the technique that I mentioned that's very useful. It's a structured statement where you begin with what the solution is that you're looking at, and you end with the value proposition. So here's an example. I'll just read it out to you. In-vehicle video driver risk management is used by our safety manager for assessing driving behavior of our vehicle operators so that they can take corrective actions to ensure safe practices, because the cost of road incidents due to poor driving are hurting our business and reputation. So that's an example of why one would invest in a driver risk management system, because the cost of accidents is too high and it's hurting the company's bottom line and its reputation. Now that is one of many possible solution statements that you may come up with. And what you should do is create several of them and then pick the one that best matches your organization's true needs. All right, question number 2. Who will use and manage the data and the workflow? So this is an important question, and it's unfortunate, but we find that far too often systems are purchased without really giving thought to who will use them, who will know how to use them, and who will know how to show others how to use them. So again, you really need to think this through. You need to actually imagine the individuals and what they do. Ask the question, will this make their job easier, or is it just adding another burden that they don't need? These are really important things to think through. Who will use the system, who will manage the data and the workflow that the system enables. So for you to, just so you can help think about this a little bit, I've listed some possible users of the data, and under each of the categories that we've already defined, driver risk management, first notification of loss, and security recording. You can read those and you can say whether or not that matches your organization's needs, whether you have people in your organization that would fill those roles. But again, this is a really important thing to think through. Who will manage the system, the data, and the workflow? So some of the typical tasks that we see are, for example, the review of incident notifications. This is a really important one to think about. Many systems will provide a text notification when there has been an incident and a video recording. So who's going to receive that text? Who's going to look at that video? What if it is in the middle of the night? What do they do with the information once they've seen it? You need to pick that person in your organization. You need to ask whether or not that's a realistic scenario. Maybe you're going to be giving some video clips to someone to analyze. They have to look at it, they have to make notes, they have to create reports. Do they know how to do that? Are they trained to do that? Do they have expertise? Do they, is that one or one of many jobs that they have to do in the company? Will they have time for it? Again, think it through. And once you know who will use the system, you'll be in a better position to assess the products that are on the market. You'll be able to look at them through the eyes of the person that actually has to use it every day. Question number 3, what operations or processes will it integrate with and augment? So end users typically expect their video telematics solution to integrate with their Geotab fleet management system, and many of our marketplace video solutions expose their key features such as incident retrieval and playback through the MyGeotab UI. But what other processes, departments, and people want access to the video telematics data? We'll discuss a few here. If your system is used for first notification of loss, you'll probably want to link to your claims processing department or service. A driver risk management workflow output will almost certainly link to your HR system. And if your system fulfills a security function, you'll probably have a group that handles incident and loss investigations. You need to think about these linkages in advance and research whether the solution is supported by APIs that can help you link to your existing systems, because you'd like to be able to automate workflow and data flow between these systems. Now, even if you can't automate it, you'll still want to think about how the work that you do can be enhanced through the data that's available through video telematics to another system or vice versa. 4th question, how do I measure the success of my video solution investment? Okay, so we take it as a given that to manage, we must measure. And that's a fundamental principle at Geotab. We build measurement tools for fleet management. Similarly, fleet operators should think about how they would measure the effectiveness of a video solution that they purchase. Have they chosen the best solution? What key performance metrics can they define? So we'll find some typical ones. We'll define some typical ones now. Everybody understands the idea of return on investment, but it's not something that you can always measure directly. ROI is a function of your key performance indices, your KPIs. And it doesn't always boil down to units of currency like dollars, pounds, or Deutschmarks. The point is, you have to choose metrics that are important for your organization. You want to make sure they're well defined and measurable. And you want to make sure that they're visible to all your stakeholders. We've listed quite a few typical KPIs on this chart, and you can see ones, I'm sure, that would resonate with you and your organization. The point is, define the KPI, make sure that it's measurable, and make sure it's visible to your stakeholders. And that brings us to the last question. What next? I'm going to return the presentation to Andrew again at this point. So Andrew, over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, John. That's some great insight you shared. So the last question, what next, is really not so much a question as it is an invitation for you to learn more about the video telematics solutions that are available through our marketplace. Again, each of these solutions has been carefully vetted to make sure that the video is well integrated within the MyGeotab environment. So if you're a customer, I encourage you to reach out to your Geotab reseller and start having those important questions around what can video telematics do for you. And if you're a reseller who wants to know more about one or more of the solutions available in our marketplace, please reach out to your PAM, reach out to me, and together we can discuss which of these solutions best addresses the needs of your customer base. And for anyone interested, we've documented these questions we shared today along with a whole bunch of sub-questions in a video telematics discovery document, and we're happy to share those with you. So please reach out to me, your PAM, your reseller, whatever it may be. The video telematics space addresses too many use cases for there to be just one right solution for every customer. So I'm really glad that we have so many great partners in our marketplace who can address our customer needs. So John and I want to thank you very much for your time and attention today, and hope you enjoy the rest of Geotab Extend. Take care.